You've just joined the Prepper Broadcasting Network, where we promote self-reliance and independence. The views and opinions expressed are strictly those of the host or their guests. Visit us in the interactive chat room at prepperbroadcasting.com.
Bankland, Federation of Bankland, the Republic of Bankland, United States of Bankland, United Kingdom of Bankland. Parasite, a smart parasite, a real smart parasite, keeps its host alive. Times are bad and times are hard, and minus cash my way is barred and treated like some retard strapped to a suicide credit card. Mr. Banker, can't you see?
Welcome, Gulf Strikers. This is our weekly libertarian talk show where we discuss not just the problems of today, but also possible solutions. Be sure to follow us on Facebook.com/GaltStrike, as well as our blog at GaltStrike.com. If you have any questions or comments during tonight's broadcast, the call-in number to get on the air is 1-347-202-0228. After you've connected, remember to press 1 so that our producer will see you want to be on the air. If you're listening to the show on Blog Talk or any other website that carries our player, you can also listen and join us in the chat room at prepperbroadcasting.com. When you get on prepperbroadcasting.com, you'll see about midway down the page there's a player button. Just click that, press play. And then a little bit further below that is the chat room. Put in your username and click, and also ask questions in the chat room, as well as calling in and dialing 1 to talk to the host and or our guests. Tonight we have Dave, one of our authors on Gulf Strike, goes by Dave 1678. How you doing, Dave? You there, Dave? You there, Dave?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Oh, okay. All right, glad to have you on. And it looks like we got a few more callers lining up in queue, and I believe also Pappy's going to be on tonight as well. So anyway, the topic of discussion tonight to start is Orlando shootings. Pretty sad thing to happen over the last weekend. 49 or 50 people killed and over 50 of them injured. Senseless act of terrorism. I'm not even going to name the guy that did it. I don't think he deserves any sort of recognition at all. I think that's one of the sad things about the media is they, name the guy and they face and picture all over the television and broadcast it out to the world and get their message out there, and that's what they want. They want their message out there. Well, I'm not going to share this terrorist message with people. I don't think it should be heard. I don't think he should be heard. But it is a senseless act. I think it could have been stopped. I think there's a lot of ways to be prepared, and we're going to discuss some of those ways tonight. But before we get into the show too much, I do want to mention this weekend is Father's Day weekend, and so I want to give a shout-out to all the dads out there. I know my dad is listening live out there somewhere, so if you can hear me, Dad, happy Father's Day. Let's see what we've got coming on still. I think we're still waiting for... Oh, we do have quite a few people lining up to talk, and I think our producer's setting that up. We've got Red Hawk on. We've got Pappy on. I'll just bring you guys on one at a time, getting a lot of people lining up. Anyway, Dave, what are your thoughts on this shooting? We'll get into what could have prevented it in a minute, but what do you think about the whole mess down there in Orlando?
It's just one of the most disgusting things that's happened in the United States. Same type of perpetrator, following a theocratic idea to kill people, take their life away from them for something they don't like. I mean, that is completely not what this country is supposed to be about. Just because you just like what somebody does, you can go somewhere else. And the fact that somebody felt that they had the right to walk into a place and destroy lives because of their after-hours proclivity, if you will, it's just disgusting. It's the saddest thing that I can think of.
Yeah, and there's a lot of debate going on whether he did it because he was homophobic or he did it because of his Islamic beliefs. And then a lot of news coming out that he may have been gay himself, had the gay apps on his phone, and witnesses saying that he'd been approached by him several times, and they'd been to that club several times. Someone, I think, reported that it was an internal conflict because of his feelings and stuff. Really doesn't matter. The guy went in and killed a bunch of people. He was a nutcase, crazy, and I don't know how we can, as a society, can, know who's going to snap and who's not. I know there was plenty of warning from Kurz and others, and as a society, we have to, think, okay, so you say you spout off some stupid stuff at work. Does that mean you're going to be on a watch list now? Is that going to mean you're going to be on a no-fly list now? Should the FBI be investigating every person that says stupid stuff at work? Hindsight's obviously, yeah.
I just wanted to mention, depends on who you're talking stupid to. If you say anything about the President of the United States that is threatening, you're actually investigated by Secret Service.
Exactly,
so I think
you're right.
So perhaps all citizens should have at least the knowledge that anybody who says, I'm going to kill all homosexuals, I'm going to kill all white people, I'm going to kill all black people, at least deserve a visit from a law enforcement officer.
Exactly.
Maybe not,
well, you're right. I think there's kind of like a, problem there with equal protection under the law. I mean, the president's getting way more protection than everybody else, and, how is that fair to the rest of us? That, our lives matter too. But then again, people spout off stupid stuff all the time. Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe just a visit, like, hey, what was this thing you were talking about? But then you look at the Facebook postings that people, posting all the time in the comments and stuff. Do we really even have the resources to follow up with every one of those? I don't know. I don't think it's a violation of anybody's right just to approach somebody and ask them, hey, what, explain this garbage that you're talking about. Police officers have freedom of speech as well. So, yeah, I think you're right. They should be talked to by somebody. But do we have the resources to do that?
Well, I imagine it depends on the credibility of the threat.
Yeah.
His history, is this a guy who was intoxicated at the time? Or is he totally sober in the middle of the workplace? I'm going to shoot all you sons of guns, and there it is. I mean, that's something to look into, but a drunken idiot saying, oh, I got to kill you is a totally different question.
Yeah. Let's bring Pappy on. Pappy?
Good.
You there, Pappy?
Good evening. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Good evening, Pappy. So,
yeah, good evening.
What's on the Orlando shooting?
Again, this is just such a wasted loss of life, no matter who they are. What do you feel about their way of life? It's just ridiculous that we have to have this. And I guess, and I've been trying to look up, was the nightclub even possibly a no-gun zone? probably was perceived by him as a easy target, soft target area as well. You know, all peace-loving people there. Seemed like he scoped the place out. The more and more we're hearing, it's just unreal. All the red flags that were up everywhere, and what could we have done different? It's just amazing how much more do we need before, like you said, if one word about our president, and we're overrun like we're a bed of ants that just got kicked. It's just very upsetting to know this hindsight. What's to stop the next one? What is our government doing different? What are we going to have to do differently?
Yeah,
tough question.
I kind of go back to, you know, what I was saying, that do we have the resources? You can't have police and guards at every place all the time. I think what was there, one guard at this nightclub? Obviously that was inadequate because he got taken out pretty quick.
Right.
Should obviously been more. But thing is, we can't have police and guards at every place all the time. And so that's where I think it comes down to personal responsibility for our own protection. You know, and that's why I'm a very big proponent of the Second Amendment and conceal and carry permits. I think anybody that
totally agree with that. Not to cut you off there, but you know, you just see more and more of these establishments going to you can't bring any weapons in here, which, I mean, wow, how infuriating is that to have that thrown upon us and taking our Second Amendment rights, and then this happens and we feel so helpless.
Well, yeah, and the ones that are going to break the law, they're not going to care about the rules at all, and just like in this case, they're going to take out the guard first, and they go and shoot up the place. And I've been looking at the size of that building. I don't know what the square footage is, but apparently there's supposed to be 200 to 300 people in that building. It looked like a pretty small building. And, you know, I've been to different, bars and clubs and such. And a lot of these bars, if they're really popular, you know, they're going to be really packed. And I'm sure there was some sort of, fire code violation by how many people they had in that. But there's a lot of places like that you can't even move around in. Well, so all these people in there were sitting ducks. No way to move around. No way to escape. You go in there with any gun, and, just take out so many people. I was talking with Dave before the show, and this didn't even have to be a gun. It could have been a knife. Loud music, everybody dancing, everybody, doing what they do in nightclubs, so loud that you can't hear what's going on, a lot of commotion, everything. Somebody could have been in there with a knife and just indiscriminately stabbing everybody they saw. And that could go on for several minutes before anybody realized what happened. He could have easily gotten 50 people with a knife. So everybody's quick to attack guns. When this could have been done with a knife, it could have been done with a pressure cooker. It could have been done with fertilizer. We hear about these other bombings and stuff. It didn't have to be a gun. But if we had to conceal and carry, to be able to go into a place like that, conceal and carry, then somebody that's a responsible gun owner, conceal and carry, could have possibly presented that. I've got Stella on listening. I want to bring Stella and get your thoughts. Stella, you're on the air.
Hey, Tom. Nice to talk to you guys. I don't know if you got the song I sent you about the dog being a Democrat, but I couldn't help myself. I had to send that to you.
I listened to that one. I'm thinking about sharing that too. That was pretty humorous.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you, like everybody says, and I've started talking to people in public. I just stop. I walk up to total strangers and start talking to them. Well, what do you think about this? Well, what are we going to do? When are we going to stand up? And this is the same thing I said last week. When are we going to stand up? We need to tell them to go home. They can't stay here. If they're coming here to take away what we have and what we've worked for and what we've spent, a very, very long time building, and it's being destroyed brick by brick by brick, and you're trying to instill fear. And I don't get fear. I get mad. And, it's all the world, not all the world leaders, but a lot of the world leaders are bending to these people. Look at what's happening in Britain. They're being overrun because they let them in. And now there's one that's mayor, and he's, instigating his laws on people.
So you think some of this could be slowed down with the immigration of Muslims? But the thing is, this guy, if I'm not mistaken, was born here.
He was born here. He worked for G4S for 10 years, which is all over the world, and they do a lot of moving of immigrants around back and forth in and out of this country, and they're actually being investigated because they're helping a lot of these folks coming up from Central and South America come into this country and sort of just disappear. He's got quite the background there, and that people say this has to do with Ramadan, but I don't think it does. I think these attacks are going to continue, and if we don't start, like you say, carrying concealed on us wherever we go, you could save one life. I told the guy that this week. Carry a weapon, because he was going on about somebody having an open carry in the grocery store, and I said, yes, but if you have a shooter situation, that man might save your life. Why aren't you carrying? Yeah. We have to keep that amendment going. We have to stand up. We've got to gather together and stand up, and that's what y'all are trying to do. You're trying to get this movement started. Yeah. And the word minority is divisive. That word needs to go away. Remember I sent you that thing. We are one for America. We're American.
Yeah, exactly. We're all Americans. We need to do away with the concept of adjective American. We're all Americans, and I think the people that immigrate here should assimilate into our culture and be willing to be a part of our culture and become Americans. Thank you for the call. Go ahead and hold on the line if you want and listen in. I'm going to bring some more people on. Okay. I'm going to bring Dr. Mark on here. Dr. Mark, you're on the air. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming on.
I've got a little bit of a different take on it because I've got a PhD in public safety, and I do research and teach Homeland Security and emergency management. And a lot of the problems that we're seeing are perpetual. They're the same issues where if we could have a paradigm change in the way the general public reacts, we could stop 94% of these attacks. There's data out there from the Department of Education and the Secret Service, as well as others, that 94% of the time, active shooters actually tell someone that they're going to carry this out. But these people stay silent, and when they do, that's what I teach classes to hospitals and churches and schools. And, one of the biggest fallacies out there is that people are using assault weapons. Well, 2/3 of the weapons used are handguns. Research from 1982 until February of 2016, the vast majority also had some kind of mental illness in their past. So we're running into these same issues over and over again, and the data supports it.
Do you think more about we should catch the people before they even get this far, that we should identify who could be a potential shooter just by the words they use and what they say to other people?
I do. And I think that anytime someone makes a threat of taking out multiple people, anytime, there should be an investigation into it. I also
I think it goes back to what Dave said, that when people are talking about, hey, I'm going to go shoot a whole bunch of people, that should be a red flag right there for some sort of investigation, some sort of visit. Here's
another thing that a lot of people don't realize. From 2000 to 2007, we had on average 6 active shootings a year. From 2007 to 2014, that jumped to 16 active shootings a year. And while there's no credible evidence to prove it, 2007 is when the Virginia Tech shooting started, and the media blew it out of proportion. And I firmly believe that the media blows this so much out of proportion that it inspires others to get their 5 minutes of fame.
I've said that before. I think in previous podcasts that when one of these these shooters are going for the big story, and the media just buys into that, and they take that big story and they run with it. I remember right after the Columbine shootings that they kept talking about the trench coat mafia with their arsenal of weapons, spraying bullets into the kids. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, there's going to be a copycat right from that. And I think that's a lot of what's going on. I think a lot of the loss of morality in society. I think there's a lot of problems. But I wonder, about catching this and stopping this kind of thing from the get-go. If you're familiar with me and my website, I'm a libertarian. I'm a strong believer in the non-aggression principle. Why don't we teach the non-aggression principle in school? Why don't we focus a lot more of that when there are kids all the way up through high school about the non-aggression principle? I believe we have a right to self-defense, but I think if you teach the non-aggression principle right from the get-go, we might not have to use our self-defense as often.
The problem with that is, and I hate to say it like this, and this is a personal opinion, I have no data to back it up, but the problem with that is we have people within our United States that profit from all this.
Yeah.
And until we stop that profit, now another thing that would stop that could prevent a lot of these active shootings, when I teach to churches and hospitals and schools, I give them a matrix of signs of people that are more likely to become active shooters. Mm-hmm. And that simple matrix, if they're younger than 40, if they lack social skills, if they're a victim of teasing, they have aggressive or explosive behavior. Hey, you get so many check marks on that matrix, it's time to look for some intervention.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea. I appreciate your insights. We got about 8 minutes till we got to take a break, and I do want to get another caller on. But if you want to stay on listening, I might bring you back on in a bit for your more opinions. So I'm going to go on to the next caller. We're going to go to Matt.
Evening, guys.
Matt, you're on the air. How are you doing?
I am doing great. How are you doing this evening?
Doing great. Thank you for coming on. So what are your thoughts on the Orlando shooting?
Well, it is a tragic event. I would like, just listen, there's so many topics to cover. I wanted to touch base in regards to the watch list that was mentioned, very early on. This gentleman was investigated a few years back. So, the investigation was done, and then nothing was found to be abnormal, so they went ahead and closed the case. But this guy still popped back up. But I completely agree with the sentiments that, they're targeting these soft targets, and as long as the population has their head stuck in the sand and feels that this will never happen to me, that's what I teach my kids, is that you're not bulletproof. Things do happen to you, and you need to be aware of your surroundings. And I think this is evidence. They are looking for for that explosive story. They are looking to be headlined on the evening news, and I think that's backed up by, this gentleman posting up on Facebook and then calling 911 to, pledge his allegiance to ISIS. I think ISIS has been the recruiting tools, as the last caller said, that these checklists, ISIS is targeting those people to recruit. And they'll use them as that, they'll use them as that excuse to involve them into their jihad. And I just don't think the country's quite awake yet to understand that there are genuine people out here that just want us dead. And now the battles have started to come into our shores.
I think you're right. I think we're going to have to come at this from several different approaches. Personally, I believe in our Second Amendment rights and a right to defend ourselves and conceal and carry. I think Dr. Mark had some great ideas on catching these people ahead of time. I think, touching more on what you said, too, about the media picking up these stories and blowing them out of proportion, in what Dr. Mark said as well, too, about profiting off of these stories and making a big thing about it. I don't think the guy's name should be mentioned. I mean, yeah, we got freedom of speech in this country. I don't want to take that away from the media, but I think there is a little personal responsibility there that we shouldn't give these people, these killers, the platform that they're looking for. If they knew that by going out and doing a shooting, that would just be some small byline in a newspaper somewhere, and their name isn't going to get posted anywhere, I think they'd be a lot less likely to do that because they're going for the big story.
You're absolutely right. I'm a huge proponent of the Second Amendment, and quite honestly, don't leave my house, without my carry. Now, as I purposely don't go to nightclubs, right? And if there are establishments that don't allow carry, that's their right as a store. I don't, that's their business, and they're more than welcome to disallow firearms. I just know that's not a place for me to take my family. So there are plenty enough, carry-friendly organizations, and that's it sounds small, but I know that I'm never putting my family in danger in the event that some nut job decides that today's the day. And so that's just a conscious decision that I've made. Some
great points there. We are going to go to a break here in just a minute. If you want to keep listening. I might bring you back on in a bit for your more opinions. But we do have Lewis that's on the hold. We're going to get to you. We had Tom was on the hold. Tom, I noticed you dropped out. If you're still listening, call back in. We'd like to get your opinions. For now, we're going to take a word from our sponsors.
TheWonderMill.com, the best grain mills on the market, with the ability to mill several items that many grain mills will not. There are 2 grain mills to choose from. The Wonder Mill Electric. It's fast and gives you a vast variety of items it can grind. The Wonder Junior Hand Grain Mill can grind a wide variety of things that even some of the most expensive hand grain mills cannot, including oily grains, nuts, and seeds. Learn more about the most resourceful tool that you may ever own. See all the exciting things that Wonder Mill can do for you and what you eat at TheWonderMill.com.
Need a survival knife for when things hit the fan? How about a rescue knife to have in case of emergencies? At Knife Depot, we carry more than 10,000 knives from popular brands like Kershaw, Buck, Schrade, and more. Every knife we sell is backed by a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you're always 100% satisfied with your purchase. Visit us online at knife-depot.com. For a 10% discount, enter Prepper10 at checkout. Again, that's knife-depot.com. And remember,
we have exciting news. You can now afford to have your own freeze dryer. That's right, for the first time ever, it's possible to have a freeze dryer in your home. It was invented right here in America by Harvest Right. With this new appliance, you can freeze dry your own food and it will last 25 years. Imagine freeze drying fruit, vegetables, meat, and your own homemade meals. It's as easy to use as a microwave. Learn more about this amazing home freeze dryer at harvestright.com. Again, that's harvestright.com.
Where can you find the best in food storage, water purification, heirloom seeds, medical, health, and emergency supplies? LifeReliance.com. What do Mountain House, Legacy Foods, Guardian, Wise Foods, and Relief Foods have in common? LifeReliance.com. Who has the lowest prices, special offers, and free consultation to help you develop an emergency preparedness plan that makes sense for your family? LifeReliance.com. Why would Life Reliance do all this? We are family operated. Let our family help you and your family be prepared. Visit us at LifeReliance.com or call 520-425-9771.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for listening. I want to remind you, if you want to call in and voice your opinions, the number to call in is 1-347-202-0228. After you've connected, dial 1 so that our producer can see that you want to be on the air, and then you can speak with us or our guest, Orlando Shooting. And we have, let's see, we've got Lewis on the air. Lewis, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for the invitation and the emails and everything. Highly appreciate it. I totally believe that what you just did, bring this matter into the air is very important. My prayers goes to every family of the victim in Orlando, and I totally agree on the comment that you just made a few minutes ago. We shouldn't be mentioning those individuals by name, because I was looking around the internet and they already making reference who did that and what they did and what they did in that particular stay in Orlando and stuff like that. But overall, my point of view is very simple. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I believe that we have a great constitution, a great country, and great individuals. And we all need to be responsible and more proactive individuals. I believe that there is something that we need to realize. There is something that we need to understand, and it is a fact. The fact is, we will not have police authority guarding us 24/7, every second of our life. They're not going to be guarding our kids, our wife, ourselves, our friends, and it is very important to become more proactive, gun proactive, legal carry. I totally agree everyone should be checked out, whether it's for hunting or self-defense or protecting your property, your family, and everything. But the common denominator is not the gun. It's the individual who commits the violence, the crime, Mm-hmm. It breaks my heart, but it also upsets me to see how many ignorant individuals think that because one individual from that particular group goes and commits a heinous crime, and because all the rest of us are legal and law-abiding citizens, think that also represents that individual with that gun, Yeah. But if they go in the media saying, well, they did this because all the guns and the guns honor, and no, that individual does not represent every single gun owner in America, every single law-abiding citizen who is registered properly and carry a legal weapon, who's well-trained to understand what is the main reason, and that is to self-protect, protect your family, friends, and your property. It bothers me a lot But the truth is we are in a time and a point and a very crucial moment that we need to understand. We need to protect ourselves. We need to be more proactive, communicating with the law, with the authorities whenever we see something wrong. Be proactive. Call. Let them check them out. You know, that's the reason we have that type of authorities. And
so
I want to say
more about personal responsibility and personal defense of ourselves and our own family, while holding these people personally accountable.
Absolutely.
I want to go back to Dave's take on this, and then we'll go back and we have Red Hawk. I want to get his opinion as well. Dave, do you have anything you want to add to what Lewis just said?
No, Lewis kind of said it all. I mean, he's got a very valid point. This person doesn't represent legal gun owners en masse. Like I said, if we talk about prevention, I think the only question I have to ask is, if you're going to own a private business where the world is as it is, and the state of it is such that it's cramped quarters, psychedelic music, psychedelic lights, nobody really knows what's going on, how did some guy walk in there with a rifle? The only way we can prevent this in private businesses, of course, private businesses take responsibility for it. Individuals taking responsibility for where they go. I think a gentleman mentioned earlier, he wouldn't walk into a place that didn't allow his gun. Places stop getting business because you're not allowed to carry a gun there. They may change their tune. That's pretty much all I'd have to say about it.
Yeah, so even though this was a gun-free zone, and even though they had a guard, this guy was still able to go in with a rifle.
Not much security, if me.
Yeah, I don't think there's nearly enough security. And I mean, if they've got 200 or 300 people in there, then surely they could have afforded more security. I think when, I kind of agree with Matt that, it's the business decision. It should be the business's decision whether or not they allow weapons or not. But if they don't allow weapons, then I think they should have, more than enough security. 200 or 300 people all buying, paying cover charges and buying alcohol and everything else they're doing. Surely they could afford, that's my opinion on that. We got Red Hawk. I want to bring Red Hawk on. He's been patiently waiting. I want to get your opinions, Red Hawk. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Okay. First off, we're going to start with the vetting this gentleman had. One caller earlier mentioned that he worked for the government. All right. I read a report earlier, a couple of days ago, that it was because of the Obama administration orders to lighten up on the background checks of Muslims specifically, okay, that he was passed through all security and everything like that checks, okay? Number one. Number two, his father's got a YouTube channel. I could pull it up. He's a radical Muslim. He actually ran for president of Afghanistan, and he personally has had meetings recently with Obama. There's pictures of him on the web right in front, coming out of the Oval Office and mainstream media. All right? On to the gun situation. All right? The man legally purchased the weapons. However, one gun shop that he went to set up a red flag. The local authorities didn't pick it up. FBI had him on the radar twice. They dropped the ball. Okay? I have a video up right now. One of our sheriffs down in Brevard County here in Florida put up a video on YouTube called Fight Back. Everybody keeps making a point of how many people were in this bar, okay, and the fact it's a gun-free zone. We need to start talking to our local representatives and our federal representatives by email, phone, whatever, carrier pigeon, all right, about our gun rights and about the legislation going through the Senate. They're talking about the full-on assault weapons ban again, all right? If you realize how many millions of assault weapons have been classified as assault weapons and have been sold since the ban came off, it's ridiculous, all right? Anyway, this Brevard County Sheriff put up this video. It says it's time to fight back. He pointed out that there were 200 to 300 people in that bar, even though by Florida state law, any place that sells alcohol, churches, state buildings, courthouses, etc., are gun-free zones. All right. So even there were 3 security officers there, by the way. All right.
Hey, Red Hawk, you there? I think you cut out a couple of times there. Are you on a cell phone?
No, I'm on a portable, unfortunately. Okay. Anyway, he he's saying there's 200 to 300 people in this bar. There's one guy with a gun, and nobody picks up a table or a chair or a glass or a beer bottle. How about 20 or 30 people rushing in?
I go back to what I was saying before. Obviously, I wasn't there, but this building looked like a fairly small building for 200 or 300 people. And so what I'm visualizing in my mind is just lots of people packed in tight together that even if you wanted to grab a chair, you couldn't. About the only thing you did have that you could grab is the person right next to you to use as a shield, and I'm sure that happened. Unfortunately, I'm sure there were people hiding behind other people.
What the sheriff is doing down here is he's actually starting a training program to train citizens to watch out for these active shooter situations and engage no matter what. Period. And take them out by whatever means necessary, whether it's by concealed carry, whether it's massive numbers, jumping the person. As I said, this guy went in and wiped out all these people, and there is no reports. No eyewitnesses have said, I took a bullet trying to take him out. Nothing. People ran and hid.
Well, okay? Yeah, I think that's another thing.
When bodies started dropping, 20 or 30 people should have rushed in and put him down, and nobody had the guts to jump in on it.
Well, I think the problem is that people aren't taught that. I go back to what I was saying about, I think it'd be great to teach the non-aggression principle in school, but I think we should also have active shooter drills in school too. I don't know what kind of drills they have now about hiding in a hiding place or not, but I think what the drill should actually be is teaching the kids to grab whatever item they can find and use it as a weapon. I think whenever there's a shooter, every kid should have a weapon in their hand, whether it's an eraser or a laptop computer or their book bag or a chair or pencils or whatever they have, just anything they can grab. And if the entire classroom would just throw everything they have at that shooter, I think that should be the drill. I don't know how you would play out a drill like that. Maybe, use a bunch of rubber balls as as pretend items, but I think it should be drilled in the kids' mind from school, school age, all the way from little kid, grade school, all the way up to high school, that you use every weapon around you, so that when these kids grow up, in adulthood and they're in a bar or a club like this, and this sort of thing happens, that would already be ingrained in their mind to use everything they can. Kind of like the stories of the other plane in the, where the hijackers in 9/11, that the people rushed the hijacker. I think there was another attempted hijacking. I think it was a shoe bomber, that the reason they caught him is because all the passengers rushed him because they knew what would happen. I think we need to teach that in school for these active shooter scenarios. I don't think we should be
where there was an active shooter went down, and one of the students with a can of pepper spray rushed him, hit him with the pepper spray, dropped him with the pepper spray, disarmed him, then sat on him.
Yeah, I think it should be taught so that it's second nature to people to just automatically rush the shooter like that. I think the chances of survival increase exponentially. Thank you for the thoughts, Red Hawk. Go ahead.
On the political end of it, though, we've got to save our Second Amendment. You keep bringing up the Second Amendment. Other people do too. We've got to save it. It's under attack now again by this administration because of somebody else's wrongdoing. So we all need to get.
I think we definitely need to protect our Second Amendment rights and the right to self-defense. I think this can be hit on all
the constitutional rights
so many,
to redress grievances. Contact your representatives. Blow up their phones. Blow up their accounts.
I think we can hit this from. I think we can hit this from all the various angles, all the way from teaching kids in school, all the way up to identifying the who these nutcases are in stopping it before it happens, all the way to when it does happen, we should be readily prepared. I'm going to grab Pappy's thoughts
I've got
here.
a meeting with our governor on Monday morning with a coalition from my county.
Hold on, I'm going to get Pappy on the air.
Oh yes, I'm here.
Yeah, what do you want to add to what the previous callers?
Well, I was listening intently to what you were saying, and kind of was a little grin on my face. I was listening to Doom and Bloom earlier on Prepper Broadcasting Radio, and they were talking about the same thing about our kids in school and what they're taught to defend themselves. And anybody that has children or grandchildren should know that they are now taught, do not ever fight back. Don't hit back. Don't say anything back. What are we teaching our people? No guns in school, not guns in school. No gun classes in school. No safety in school. Wow, we are so on the wrong track. And I just wrote down some notes here. Our enemy, and they truly are, these terrorists are our enemy. They're willing to die for their beliefs. Are all of us Americans willing to die to defend our beliefs? I don't think at this time we are. And we have to understand that our enemy is here. They're here now. Are we ready? And this shooting obviously shows us again that we're absolutely not. And if I could share, I shared this link online, and I just want to read. I heard this several times this week on the radio talked about, so I went looking for it, and I found it. It's from October 15th of 2015. It's about a year old. So let me see. Just a real quick, and this is what they were really hitting on. This is a quote from Omar Ahmed, the co-founder of the Council on American Relations, and he said, quote, Islam isn't in America to be equal to any other faith, but to be dominant. The Quran should be the highest authority in America, and Islam the only accepted religion on earth, close quote. If that is a fact, we need to wake up. That should be enough to wake everybody up in this country and be alert at all times and start making changes now.
Yeah, I think we all need to be aware and alert of our surroundings, definitely. I'm going to bring... we got Bill Herzog. Bill, are you there?
I'm here, Tommy.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for coming on the air.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. So what do you think about the Orlando shootings and what could have been done to prevent that?
Well, first of all, this is a great show you have here, Tom. This is great work that you do. Now, all your listeners and callers, I mean, they all believe that their right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Period. You're anything I say, I'm preaching to the choir here. There's no shockers. What's been more shocking to me regarding this whole entire issue is that different people's response to the shooting. And quite frankly, I've witnessed many people that call themselves Christians, quite frankly, say this act was okay by them just because of the type of people that were attacked and their lifestyle that they live. And now, while I don't agree with it, at the end of the day, a crime is a crime. But this one has been served up differently by the media, more than likely just to distract us. And, it is political season here. And it's been running on the news, every day since it happened.
Well, I think you're right. I think it's wrong that, especially coming from people that claim to be Christians, to be saying that was okay. Those people deserve that. Well, I got news. I'm a Christian myself. I don't go out, preaching to everybody and telling everybody that they need to convert to Christianity. But I do have something to say to Christians that talk like that say that those those gay people should have died. Well, me being a Christian, I'm sorry, but in the eyes of God, all sins are equal. All are deserving of death. It says that in the Bible. Okay, all sins are deserving of death. So, pull the plank from your own eye before you point at the speck in someone else's eye. What's my sin? Probably gluttony. I love to eat. Okay, I love to eat. I eat fattening foods. I eat chips. I eat Doritos. I eat cheese on the Doritos. I eat cheeseburgers. That's
I've
my
seen
addiction.
You put down some food.
Yes, I have a food addiction. Okay, well, guess what? That's, in the eyes of God, that's an equal sin to anything else. Does that mean I deserve to be shot up because of my sin? Well,
No.
As a Christian, hey, I'm saved, so I don't have to worry about that. But being a Christian doesn't mean we're sinless. It means we sin less. So these people were human beings. They're human beings, and if you're a Christian, you need to understand that these people were human beings. And as a nation, not only were they human beings, they're Americans. These people were Americans. Okay, so we need to stand up for the rights of all people, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all people. And we just need to recognize that. Yeah, you had something else you want to say there, Bill.
Well, I was going to say that this is, people have been marching all over the place. This has been defined by the LGBT community as a hate personal. They've taken this quite personally. And this isn't a gun issue. At the end of the day, there is evil in this world. It's not a gun issue, guys. There'll never be a shortage of bad guys in this world trying to hurt others. And simply said, that's why our Second Amendment is so important. It's a personal choice to carry a weapon, whether your weapon of choice is a knife that you carry in your pocket or a gun that you have tucked underneath your shirt. You have the right to protect yourself, you and your family, and be safe. You've had a lot of callers on here talking about different ways to prevent it, and different ways to try to mitigate the problem. And it's unfortunately it's only growing, and it's sad. You have to be safe, and you have to not put yourself in harm's way at the end of the day. Right. So I don't think many of your callers are going to be visiting a nightclub, being packed in with 500 other people.
Yeah, I want to kind of throw that out there, too, about being prepared and trying to think ahead. As preppers, maybe think twice about going to a place that's so crowded. That's just me. I'm not going to find myself in a crowded place like that. I have been before. Honestly, I've been to really crowded places like that, but I don't anymore, and this is one of the reasons. Anyway, Bill, thank you. Hang on the air if you want. I'm going to cycle through everybody that we still have on listening on the phone lines and get their each opinions. I'm going to go back to Dr. Mark. Dr. Mark, are you there?
I am.
Yeah, so I wanted to add more about educating the kids, more about what you talked about, and catching early on in school. But what are your thoughts about drills? Obviously we want to try to catch the kids before they grow up to be like this. But what about drills on having them be prepared? Because
most states require that schools have drills. Now, when I teach active shooter survival in schools, one of the things that I do is I make sure that they don't just do the bare minimum to meet the state standards. Additionally, many states require law enforcement agencies to go into the schools during times when the school is down and to run active drills to respond to an active shooter in the schools. But in almost every state, it's a requirement that they have a disaster preparedness plan for active shooters in the schools, and they have to practice it at least once a year, much like the fire drills.
But does that plan include teaching the kids to fight back if they're cornered in a classroom?
It depends on the method that the state subscribes to. For your callers, they'll be very interested in this. The city of Houston, with some funds from the Department of Homeland Security, created a video called Run, Hide, Fight. And I highly subscribe to that video. And basically what it tells you, if you can get out, get out. If you can't, hide, separate, block the doors to prevent them from getting to you. And if anything else, fight. Now, when I teach church and hospital and school active shooter preparedness, survivability, one of the things that I teach is what you have to do if you have to fight is fight for your life. Throw hymnals, throw Bibles, throw whatever you can, get people to tackle them and take them down. And the problem with America is we've become sheep. We're afraid to do anything. I'm a military veteran, and I guarantee you if someone comes into my house of worship, they're going to have to go through me and about 5 other guys before they get the job done.
Wow.
And
anyway,
I'm in a small church, 40 people.
Yeah,
you know,
Dr. Mark, I want to thank you. We only got about a minute and a half left. I want to thank you for your opinions and comments. Very, very informative. I want to go back to Dave. Dave, yeah, I believe we talked earlier about a show that we're going to do together, but we had so many callers this time that wanted to voice their opinions on this topic. So maybe we can plan that for either next Saturday or the following Saturday. But if you want, could you announce to the listeners what your ideas for the next show is going to be, the one I'm going to do with you?
Just the idea that who we call our leaders, our politicians, are not our leaders. They're supposed to be our representatives. You know, there's a reason it's called the House of Representatives. We don't have leaders in this country. We have representatives of our society. And unfortunately, we have shifted that point to say these are our leaders when they're not actually that. I think if we start to treat them more as our representatives instead of our leaders, we would have an easier time keeping this country on the right track.
Okay, so everyone, that's what we're going to be talking about. If not the next show, the following show after that, we're going to be talking about that our representatives are not our leaders, that they're our representatives. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, everyone, for calling in. All of you callers that time out to voice your opinions, I want to thank you. And I want to remind everyone to listen to PrepperBroadcasting.com. We have great shows every single day. Plus, there's a 24/7 feed.
Federation of Bankland, the Republic of Bankland, United States of Bankland, United Kingdom of Bankland. Parasite, a smart parasite.
Today's broadcast has come to you through the courtesy of the Prepper Broadcasting Network. See our hosts, show schedules.
Hey, it's Flo, and this is my impression of a drill instructor directing a musical.